All right, hey Vikings fans, welcome in to another episode of the Skol Hop. I'm Evan.
And I'm Austin.
We're just a couple of dudes from Iowa. We like drinking beer, talking about the Vikings.
Yeah, we do. And the beer we drank tonight was delicious, but man, we've been abusing it for the last few weeks.
Yeah, it turned out okay though. We also gave a pretty quick preview of upcoming episode number 100.
Yeah. We also talked about training camp. It's in full swing right now, and we were talking about if we should be concerned about Justin Jefferson's hamstring right now or not.
Yeah, and then finally, we took a look at the over-under from one of the Vegas sports books for all four of the NFC North teams, and I think we kind of disagreed with where Vegas is currently sitting.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So if you're interested, grab a cold one and join us for episode 98 of the Skol Hop.
Skol.
Skol. All right, we just want to say thank you to show sponsor Big Top Ventures for sponsoring today's episode. If you, listener, are looking to take a trip to an all-inclusive resort in Mexico or Jamaica, go ahead and send an email to our friends at Big Top Ventures. Their email address is bigtopventuresllc@gmail.com. Send them an email. Let them know you're looking to take a trip or you're interested at all, and any questions you might have, and they will hook you up with all the information, but most importantly, the best prices possible, and I can personally attest to that because I've used them many times. So, yeah, if you're looking to take a trip, bigtopventuresllc@gmail.com. Thanks, Big Top Ventures.
Yeah, thanks, Big Top. We finally get to try this beer.
Yeah, we do.
This has been like 3 or 4 weeks in the making. We've had some fridge mishaps here in the Skol Man Center. Mm-hmm. 1 week we went and they were warm because the fridge, I think, got unplugged or something.
Something like that. It's your fridge. I don't know.
Maybe it lost power. I don't know. But anyways, then we plugged it back in, and it was working, and then we pulled them out the next time, and they were frozen solid.
So I think with that knowledge, with the temperature change and everything like that, we need to give this beer, which is it's
Firetrucker Ladder Cream Ale.
So with all the temperature change and the time, we should give this a lot of grace. Yeah. I truly believe this is a good beer. I don't know if I've had it before.
I've never had this.
It's definitely a good beer. Firetrucker doesn't put out bad beers, but we've been pretty mean to these cans here.
Yeah, but you also got to think, like, there's definitely beer that sits on a semi-truck in, 90-degree heat like It's been this summer, and then it gets put in a fridge, and then it cools off again. So I think they're pretty resilient for the most part.
I think they'll be fine, but if for some reason there's some kind of an off flavor, I'm going to chalk that up to the temperature changes that we've done and not so much the process of brewing it that Firetrucker did.
You make it seem like it's my fault.
I said we.
Because it's my fridge.
I said we.
No, I take offense to this.
It's your fridge.
Let's pour these up. Let's try them out. Right. Hopefully they're good. They should be. Like you said, we've had several Firetrucker beers. Really good. We went to Firetrucker about a year ago.
Yeah, they were on Brew Hop 1.0.
Brew Hop 1.0.
I caught some grief for that, by the way. I don't know if I ever told you. Firetrucker is about 5 minutes down the road from some friends of mine that I've known since college. I was actually in their wedding. And then really? A few weeks later, I saw them, and they were like, dude, what the heck? You were 5 minutes from us? You didn't even tell us?
Call us? Come on,
I was
man.
like, yep, you're right. I apologize. So if you guys are listening, Tad and Chelsea, I'm sorry that I didn't see you a year ago, 2 weeks before I saw you anyway.
Jeez, what a jerk. Something I'm noticing about this beer is there's some sediment in there.
Yeah,
I think it's an unfiltered beer, and it's pretty hazy. Like you can't see through that at all. If you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, you can kind of see what the beer looks like on camera here. But yeah, there's definitely some sediment in there, which isn't like unusual, I guess. It's somewhat normal in beer. Like some of my favorite beers, like Oberon from Bell's, is an unfiltered beer, and you see the sediment. I wish I would have known that, because my brother-in-law taught me that you pour like 90% of the beer, and then you swirl the last 10% and dump it in just to mix everything up really good. But maybe on my next pour, I'll do that.
Yeah. Well, I think we should read the description, because this one actually has one.
Oh, yeah.
The Ladder Cream Ale from Firetrucker Brewery. On their can, they've written, "We're turning light beer on its head with this full-bodied cream ale. This hazy goodness is chock full of rolled oats and flaky barley to give your mouth the thick, creamy feeling it craves. Crack it open and chug it down. It's ladder season." 6.5%, 32 IBUs. That's the bitterness. I'm ready to just give this one a try.
Yeah, let's do it.
Skol.
Definitely creamy. I like that.
And I'm not getting any off flavors or
No.
or weird tastes, so
It's
I
not
don't think we
skunky or
ruined it.
anything.
Yep.
I can taste the oats. Definitely. Like, I don't have oatmeal like every morning, but I definitely frequent oatmeal in the mornings as a breakfast food. So, yeah, I can taste that. And what else did it say it had? Flaked barley.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's probably the sediment that we're seeing too. Hopefully it's not the can breaking apart inside, because we've been so mean to it.
I don't think so.
It's it's a nice hazy beer, good head retention, nice beer flavor. I don't know. It's smooth, creamy. I like it a lot.
Yeah, really good beer. Definitely would have it again. I like a good cream ale. I remembered, so I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but my memory was just jogged just in this moment. So I'm going to set this up really quick. I'm going to kind of preview where we're going with this episode.
Ooh, okay.
And preview where we're going a few episodes from now. And then I'll get to how my memory was jogged. So we actually just got back yesterday from filming Brew Hop 2.0. Friend of the show, Forrest, was along. It was a really good time. We are still in the process of putting together all the footage, but we do have some plans here in just a few minutes to kind of give you guys, our audience, kind of a little preview.
Yeah.
Not of any of the breweries that we went to, but some of the conversations we had in the car. We ended up with more footage than we needed, and we thought, well, hey, we'll take some of the more relevant stuff, and so we'll talk about that in a second. But one of the breweries that we did visit is one of our favorite breweries from our college days, and I'll save the surprise for episode 100. But Tricycle was the name of the cream ale from that brewery that they used to brew, and I would buy it at the store all the time when I lived in that town.
You mentioned it on our Brew Hop.
I did, but I couldn't remember the name, and that's why like my memory was just jogged right now. Like, oh yeah, Tricycle was the name of that beer.
Nice.
Tricycle, because I think the concept was like it was kind of an IPA, it was kind of a lager, and it was kind of a cream ale, like all in one.
The tricycle. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So this reminds me of that a lot, and it's really good.
Sweet.
So,
yeah, good job, Firetrucker. I really like it. I'm glad we have 2 of these each.
For sure. Sorry, you caught me mid-sip
I
there.
did, and then I kind of burped a little bit. So sorry, listeners, for the last 6 seconds of our podcast. Hopefully you stuck around for the rest of it.
So I think this would be a good chance to transition into a little bit of the conversation that we had in the car. Friend of the show, Forrest, was there with us. And we talked about a Viking who signed a nice little contract extension.
Yeah. It was a good conversation. Can't wait.
We're going to drop you into that right now, and we'll catch you on the other side.
Yeah, so there is one piece of news that came out today. I'm not sure when the episode's going to come out, but today it was announced former Michigan Wolverine, current Viking, signed an extension. Josh Metellus got, 3 years, $30-something million extension.
Didn't you say it was like up to $42 million or something?
Yeah, like a max of like 42 and something like 25 million guaranteed. Either way, another good extension for a really nice piece of the Flores defense. Metellus has been a very important player on the team for the last few years, and it's really been fun to watch him flourish. And I couldn't be more excited that he signed an extension. He's with the team again.
Yeah, he's a super valuable asset on the defensive side of the ball, and not just because he's got good dance moves, but he is, and we've talked about this, I feel like, a lot since we started our podcast. He is kind of the Swiss Army knife of the defense, right?
Absolutely.
Like he, I think at one point a couple seasons ago, the Fox broadcast crew put together a list of all the different positions he's lined up at in a game, and it was lengthy. He's played pretty much every position on the defensive side of the ball. And he's a safety by trade, but he's just so versatile, and he brings the energy on that defense.
Yeah.
And I think the dance moves are a part of that too. Like, I think it's a good thing that he does that, and I think the other guys feed off of that. And when they get the momentum going, he forces a turnover or makes a big tackle or makes a big sack or whatever. That just gets everybody else going. So, but you were talking, Forrest. He hasn't always been as good as he is now.
Yeah, I first of all, I mean, kudos. I mean, he's made a name for himself, specifically with the Vikings. Well known around the league, though, I'd say. Being Michigan, obviously, he had some great talents coming out of high school. I would say he was always good at Michigan, and he actually just played linebacker at Michigan. So I don't recall him ever playing the safety position in college. Maybe he did, but he was mainly a linebacker there. He was always good, but never someone I would have thought to be as good as he ended up with the Vikings at this stage in his career. So.
Yeah, I'm thankful he's on the team, and he's a captain and a pivotal part of the defense, and sometimes everywhere on the defense. He kind of reminds me of like a modern day Troy Polamalu in that he's just lining up everywhere, and that's nice to have right now when Harrison Smith, he's on the team still. But this might be the last year that we have Harrison Smith.
Yeah, his days are numbered for
sure.
So,
yeah, but to know that Metellus is going to be on the team for the next at least 3 years, that's nice to know because he's a good football player, and it's good to have those good football players on your football team. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure. He also kind of creates some content like we're doing. He's got his own little Tell Us with Metellus little bit that he puts out on social media for the Vikings. So he goes around kind of like man on the street style and just asks his teammates in the locker room different goofy questions. And didn't they start that like probably 10 years ago with Brian Robinson?
Yeah, it was like 96 questions with Brian Robinson.
Yeah.
So it was same kind of concept.
Same concept, but
doing the quick interview spots with his teammates in the locker room, and yeah, they're always fun and lighthearted and really entertaining to watch. I like it.
Yeah. He's an overall just quality guy, quality player, and I'm excited. I think he's the type of guy that once he gets paid, he's not the one that's just going to sit back and rest on his laurels. He's going to come out and show out. He's going to prove that he's worth the $10-11 million a year that they're now paying him.
I do think it's kind of funny that training camp just started in the last few days, and he's been with the team. He's doing things very, above the board. Like he's being a very good teammate about this, while still probably advocating for a contract that he rightfully got today. But he's kind of been out of practice a little bit. Due to what the team was calling like an ankle soreness or something. And I think it's funny and I think it'll be interesting to see how his ankle is doing now that contract is signed. Because if you remember, what was it, a year or two ago, TJ Hawkinson was heading into the last year of his deal. And, darn it, he was at camp, but he had some, back soreness, and they're kind of holding him out of practice a little bit. And then he signed that contract extension, and you know what? That back soreness went away real quick. So I think Metellus's foot issue is going to go away real quick.
Every player has their way to deal with soreness. And, And, hey... If it gets him where he needed to be, so be it.
And maybe not just physical soreness, but, soreness towards the organization about not paying them what they feel like they're worth.
Well, I think you said it right. I mean, how often do you see him just do all the different positions on your team on that defense? He's usually, healthy. I mean, I don't recall a time where he's been injured for long periods of time. So he's dependable in that aspect. And I think he's just goes about his business. I don't think he tried to put this, out in the forefront like some players do. Of, hey, you better give me more money or I'm looking for a trade. I think he handled it professionally.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a testament, obviously, to him, but also I think that's a testament to the Vikings, because I'm sitting here trying to think, when's the last time the Vikings had like a public contract dispute or long-standing situation where a player wants a new contract and it came out into the public and into the media that the Vikings had an issue with a player or a player had an issue with the Vikings? I feel like since Kwesi has been there, and I mean, Rick Spielman did a good job for the most part too, but definitely since Kwesi has been with a team, they've been really good about keeping business behind closed doors and every player saying the right thing. Think about all the players that have signed. I mean, Metellus most recently, Christian Darrisaw got a massive deal, TJ Hawkinson got a massive deal, Justin Jefferson got a massive deal. A lot of these big, difficult contracts to sign.
Did you mention Darrisaw?
Yeah, Darrisaw.
Did you? Okay.
I think I did. But yeah, a lot of these things have gotten done behind closed doors. Not to say every conversation with all of those contracts were nice and easy and pleasant and fun, but if they weren't fun and pleasant, none of that got out in the public. So kudos to the Vikings and the players and the kinds of players that they put on their team for all of that business to get done nice and clean, and we don't have to sit here and be like, oh, I hate Metellus because he's a jerk because all he cares about is money. That's not the case, and that hasn't been the case for any player.
And I think that, too, just bodes really well for the team going into the season, because then they know, like, the group of guys, those 53 guys that they're going to have in the locker room, they're committed, they're bought in, they're not these, prima donnas who are just there for the money. They're going to go out and play. They're going to go play ball really hard, and they're going to hit people. They're going to try to do everything that they possibly can to win games for this team, and that's what you want. And I feel like the Vikings, I've said this probably the past couple of weeks now on our podcast, the Vikings have good reason to be optimistic right now heading into the season. Most teams are optimistic at this point, but I think the Vikings have really good reason to be optimistic. There's no shallowness there. There's a lot of depth, and I'm excited to see how that plays out. Yeah. So
I think the whole being good in business idea just bodes well for the organization as well when it comes to free agents and current players that are looking to re-sign with the team. I feel like their agents, if they know, hey, the Vikings are good to work with, they take care of players, fair compensation, like it's got to be getting around the league that, hey, if you go to Minnesota, like they're good on business, you're going to get paid fairly, and they take care of you. Whereas you get teams right now like the Bengals, who I feel like currently have a bad rap, where it seems like they don't want to pay their players. Not that you have to give everybody the most max deal ever just because they're an NFL player, but I feel like, I don't know, if you were a free agent and the Bengals and their current reputation gave you a call, you might be like, no, you're tough to deal with, and it's hard to, pay the people that you should pay, Whereas if you get a call from the Vikings, you might think, hey, that seems like a good organization to be at. They're going to take care of me. So I feel like that's probably a good thing.
Yeah, I think it's probably both ways. I mean, depending on what players your team, your organization has, I think some players are just going to make a big stink of things and draw it out into the public eye. But like you said, I'd agree with you. Kudos to both the players and the Vikings front office for handling it professionally, and it speaks volumes to that.
All right, so that was just like literally the tip of the iceberg from our Brew Hop 2.0. We're going to be releasing the full thing, episode 100. That's just a few weeks away.
Yep.
So make sure you're tuned in for that. Make sure you got notifications turned on. You like, subscribe, all that good stuff. So when it comes out, you can be notified of that. But such a blast. That trip was awesome.
Yeah.
I was really tired when I got home.
Oh, me too.
But
me too.
I had a lot of fun.
And we hit up some of the awesome breweries Iowa has that we didn't have the chance to hit up last year in the Brew Hop 1.0 because it was a different direction. We're only 2 guys, 3 guys, depending on which 1.0 or 2.0 we were on. But
well, and we even hit up some breweries that we weren't planning on hitting up, which I thought was kind of cool because as we got to some breweries, they started recommending other breweries, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you guys got to check out this one." So that kind of dictated our path, and that was kind of fun too.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I can't wait until the next Brew Hop.
Yeah, next year.
Yeah. Well, we're in this year, and the NFL season is about to start. I think the Hall of Fame game is like 3 days away, isn't it, this coming week?
Friday or Saturday night this week, isn't it?
So once the Hall of Fame game's here, like, we're here. Every team is in training camp already. We're starting to hear some of those, like, oh, he's looking good, or oh, they're looking bad, or even I've seen a couple injuries, like ACL tears already, in the league a little bit. But yeah, the Vikings are in training camp. They have an injury of their own right now that's pretty concerning when you first hear about it. But Justin Jefferson, he said a couple of days ago he's kind of holding himself back out of practice a little bit because of some hamstring tightness is what they're saying. And then the team even like did their whole like social media. The app posted an update saying something like Jefferson's going to be out of practice today out of caution for hamstring tightness. They're saying it's not concerning, but are you concerned yet about that?
Well, you seemed concerned when you texted me about it because you texted me, I don't know, a tweet or the Vikings article or whatever it was, and you're like, burn it down, season's over. Who are we going to take with the first draft pick?
I think I even tweeted that from the Skol Hop.
So I'm definitely not panicking. And I think we were talking about this before we were recording, but I think there's a difference between a training camp injury and a regular season injury. And there's probably even a difference between training camp injury, regular season injury, and we're going to the playoffs or we're in the playoffs.
Or a playoff hunt.
Injury, so I think this is the least concerning of them, especially given its mild nature. It's not a torn ACL. It's not season's over. Hope for something better next year. It is what it is. You were even saying, there could be some conspiracy around is he upset about his contract and kind of holding out a little bit? Is he protesting? Is he, is he just being overly cautious? Are the trainers being overly cautious with him, not allowing him to, I don't know. But I'm not panicking. I'm not worried about it. We saw him put up amazing numbers on, I don't know, how many games did he play 2 seasons ago?
I think 9 or 10. Yeah, so not a full 2/3 of the season, yeah.
And he's still shattering records and, blazing a trail for himself that is going to be tough for anybody to match.
Yeah, definitely. So to be clear, I was totally joking when I said burn it all to the ground. Who are the Vikings going to take with first overall pick? I believe the team and him when they're saying it's just a little bit of soreness. We're being super cautious and he's going to be perfectly fine. I do believe it when they say that. But I did tell you a little while ago, I'm the cynic that usually if you hear even at all that a guy is looking for a new contract or anything like that, all of a sudden he's got, a little back soreness or a little reason that he's just not going to be practicing, a la TJ Hawkinson a couple of years ago when he had some back tightness. And even at the time, the team was and he and the team were all saying, no, this isn't about the contract or anything. It's just, precautionary holding out of practice. But then TJ Hawkinson, once he signed his big contract extension, man, that back healed up real quick, and he was right back at practice. We kind of even saw that a little bit with Josh Metellus, because over the weekend, he signed his well-deserved contract extension, and before that, he was kind of being held out of practice because of an ankle or a foot soreness injury, and lo and behold, today, their first padded practice, he was right in there suddenly right after that contract extension. So I think it's funny, and I think we even just talked about it here in the segment everybody just listened to from the Brew Hop. These players only have so much leverage sometimes, and if kind of holding in is one thing that they get to do to hopefully get the money they deserve, I'm all for it. Just, Don't run the ringer.
Who has more leverage? The team or the player? I wonder. And the player's representation. Because I mean, the player could say, well, no, I'm not gonna practice because of XYZ injury. Mm-hmm. But I wonder if the team also can say, well, here's your new contract extension, but you're going to play tomorrow.
Well, that's kind of
the stipulation.
In the scenario where the player is like feigning injury, that's kind of the expectation. And that's one of those things, the conversations behind closed doors are a lot more detailed than what ESPN knows or what we know in your basement. And all that to say, I don't necessarily think that's the situation right now with Justin Jefferson.
No.
What was it? Just over a year ago, he signed the contract to be the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. Although TJ Watt broke that record, and I think even before then, Jamar Chase had broken Justin Jefferson's record. So it wouldn't be completely shocking if Jefferson had some kind of, hey, I need a little bit of a pay raise. I don't see that, though, and we haven't heard any inkling of that in rumors or reports or anything like that. But so I do think this hamstring tightness is probably legitimate.
Do we know which one it is, and if it's the same one that was injured a few years ago?
I think when it first got reported a few days ago on Twitter, I think whoever tweeted it, or at least the first one I saw, it said it's the other hamstring than the one that he missed 7 games for a couple years ago. However, I don't know how much that matters right now. Well, I do believe it's a true tightness, and they're being super cautious with the best player in the league. Mm-hmm. But it would be kind of interesting if out of nowhere they announced, like, hey, Justin Jefferson got, another 1 to 2 year extension that added so much money, and then boom, he's right back at practice. That would be kind of funny to me, and I'd raise my eyebrow. I don't expect that to happen.
No, I don't either. I also wonder, just with the injury, not the contract stuff, if it truly is the other hamstring, if there's like some overcompensation, like he did injure the other one legitimately, and it held him out of a handful of games 2 years ago. So I wonder if he's putting more pressure when he's running routes and stuff on the other one, and maybe if that's what caused the injury. It happens a lot, and as a coach, of athletes, I think about that kind of stuff all the time. Like, that could be the reason why. So,
maybe, but that was more than a full season ago that he dealt with all that stuff. So I don't know. The thing is, we never really know. We don't ever have all the details, and as long as he's playing, like that's all that really matters.
Well, remember a couple years ago, all the players were like, "Oh, turf sucks." And now we've had all of these Achilles injuries, Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, that all happened on grass.
Mm-hmm, yeah. So, and the linebacker in the Super Bowl a few years ago for the 49ers, was stepping out on the field and popped his Achilles. Yep. Yeah, I think some of those can be fluke, though. Yeah, they're big name players that get hurt, but it's still only like 2 or 3. So it feels like a lot more because it's, Aaron Rodgers, who at the time was coming off an MVP-like season, but I don't know. There's a lot of things that are fun to talk about. Do you think this is a real hamstring injury, or is it?
I tend to think it's real. I wouldn't sit here and say, oh, he's holding out. He doesn't want to practice. Mm-hmm. I just don't think he's that kind of guy. I think it's purely precautionary because he is the best player on the team and arguably one of the top 5 players in the league, top 10 players in the league. Like, he knows his worth extends beyond the franchise itself, and he's important to the league beyond the Vikings. And I think it's just, hey, we're going to take it easy. It's July.
Yeah.
We don't have any reason to overdo it, to push it. Let's just let you get fully healthy. And when we get to September and October, we need you healthy. We need you ready because we need to be winning games during those months.
Well, and think about it too. That season, a couple seasons ago, when he missed all those, I think it was 7 games because of the hamstring injury. At the time we're recording this right now, it's Monday night, exactly 6 weeks from the Vikings' first game. So even if he were to actually get a hamstring injury, you'd think by that kind of timeline he'd be fine for week 1. be cautious. Be cautious with him as much as possible. He doesn't need the practice reps, although it is with a young quarterback that he's never played in games with before. So that chemistry is pretty important. But this also gives J.J. McCarthy a chance to build chemistry more with other guys too.
And the thing about Justin Jefferson is he's always been the type of receiver that you don't need to pinpoint him. You can put the ball in his area and he will get it. Like
Yep.
he's that Randy Moss. He's not the same type of receiver Moss was because he's not as big and doesn't have the same arm span, but like Moss was the same way. You just get it within 5 yards and he's going to catch that ball.
Yep.
And I think Justin Jefferson is about the same. Like, it almost doesn't matter who's throwing the ball to him as long as it's not like this really blatant interception that was a horrible decision by the quarterback. And then, yeah, put it up there and he's probably going to come down with it.
Yep.
And then he's probably going to rack up a bunch of yards after catch, a la the 98-yard touchdown that he scored or 97-yard touchdown that he scored week 2, I think, against the Niners last season. That's who he is. Now, this might also give J.J. McCarthy a better chance to develop chemistry with some of the other guys.
Yep.
T.J. Hawkinson, Jordan Addison. Who are the other receivers?
I mean, there's Tristan Jackson. There's a Jalen Naylor. There's Ty Felton, the rookie. There's the other Bowden,
Buddy
whoever
Bolden?
the other. No, that was a safety that already got
He's
cut.
gone. Yeah, I forgot about him.
The Texas kick returner who's a wide receiver, the new number 83 on the team after Jalen Naylor just switched to number 1. But yeah, there's a lot of guys, and it's only good to get more experience with other guys too, because he's gonna get the time with Justin Jefferson.
Yes.
The sense I get from both JJs is that they will both put in the time, even if the two of them have to stay after practice and throw another 50 balls to each other just to get that chemistry going a little bit more. So I'm not concerned yet. I don't think you are yet either.
No. And I mean, we've said this, I feel like, in the last couple episodes, and I know we're going to say it in episode 100 because we just got finished doing all that content. But every team at this point, end of July, early August, training camp is just underway. Every team in the league is optimistic. Every team is, Super Bowl or bust. We're going to win it all. We're going to win the division, blah, blah, blah. But I said on episode, or I will say, predicting the future here on episode 100, I will say that the Vikings have a legitimate reason to be optimistic, and I think I said that a few weeks ago too, and I don't know, episode 96 or 97 or something like that. So I stand by that. I think everything the Vikings have done this offseason, all of Kwesi's moves as a GM have been really good. He brought in some really good players, signing key contract extensions with a ton of big names. Brian Flores is coming back this year. Kevin O'Connell's going into his 4th year with one of the best winning records of a 4th-year head coach going into his 4th season. Like, the optimism is high for a good reason. It's not this flimsy, shallow, we're going to fall apart in week 1 kind of thing. Now, the Vikings will lose games. I'm not saying that they're going to go 17-0. But I don't know. Optimism is high. J.J. McCarthy, he's looking really good in training
that's
camp.
what everybody's saying. We're hearing every day seems to be a halfway decent day for J.J. McCarthy. You see those troll Twitter accounts that'll post a video from 2 years ago of Kirk Cousins throwing an interception, and the caption will be like, J.J.'s throwing his 8th interception today. Those are BS. But everything I've actually heard is that J.J.'s doing well. Looking good. Chemistry is good. Offense is a little bit further behind than the defense right now, apparently. But that's also what you get right at the beginning of training camp. Is that the defense is usually more put together, or at least it looks like they are more put together because they're defending. And offenses are learning the playbook just as much too. So everything so far, early training camp, knock on wood, has sounded good. The only injury concern we've really seen is this hamstring tightness from Justin Jefferson. JJ's looking good. You're hearing good things about rookies. There's a undrafted free agent cornerback who apparently is looking okay. I'm pretty high on the Vikings right now.
Yeah, and like I said, I think we have really good reason to be excited about our team. Kevin O'Connell, in his tenure with the Vikings, and Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah for that matter, those guys haven't disappointed. Like even season 1 when they won 12 games, right? Or was it 13 games 3 years ago?
13 and, yeah.
I mean, like, that was totally unexpected. Nobody thought the Vikings were going to win that many games, make it to the playoffs, albeit it was not great once they got to the playoffs.
Yeah.
But
they'll get there.
But and then his second season 2 years ago, you know, you have the JJ injury, Justin Jefferson, that is. You have the Kirk Cousins injury, and you still are battling and we're fighting for a playoff spot all the way to the end of the season and missed the playoffs by just ever so much. And made Kevin O'Connell specifically, you know, made it work with this ragtag group of backup quarterbacks, which was incredible. And then last season, you have this quarterback kind of question mark in camp. Sam Darnold comes in as the proverbial bridge quarterback, and JJ McCarthy is the young rookie just trying to maybe prove himself in camp. And then he goes down with an injury. The keys are handed to Sam Darnold indefinitely, and Sam Darnold comes out and wins 14 games.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I don't know. All of that and so much more. The defense is incredible. Brian Flores added a whole bunch of new tools to his arsenal. And Brian Flores is back, which is important. It would be a totally different ball game if we had a new defensive coordinator.
Which may be the case a year from now.
We've said that for 3 years, though.
I think one of the first things we talked about on the Skol Hop, the podcast at all, episode 1, we did talk about Brian Flores and how we were excited about him, but we hope he's a one and done because then that means the defense would have been so great. And we've gotten the best of all of it because the defense has been so great and he wasn't a one and done.
Yeah. Optimism is way up here, way high. Can't wait. I'm excited. Let's get to September.
Yeah. So Vegas, a year ago right now, I'm pretty sure the Vegas over-under win total for the Vikings was like 6.5, 7.5, depending on which sportsbook.
And all they did was double that.
Yeah, all they did was double it. Vegas is a little bit more excited about the Vikings this year than they were this time last year.
I still think they're wrong.
I do too. I hope they're wrong. It would be terrible if they were dead right. But currently, and I guess I don't know what sports book specifically you looked at.
This was on ESPN.
Okay.
And it just says it on the article, odds as of publication time. For the latest odds, visit ESPN Bet.
Oh, okay, so ESPN Bet.
And this is the over-under wins. Is what we're specifically talking about right now.
As of right now, they've got the Vikings at 8.5 wins.
Yep.
More or less. So,
which is tied for if 8.5 wins. You can't get 8.5 wins. You have either 8 or 9. But if we were to take the odds in the NFC North as ESPN Bet gives us, the Vikings would be tied for last in the NFC North with the Bears, right? At 8.5 wins.
Yeah, so the whole NFC North on the sportsbook you looked at here, the Vikings had 8.5, the Bears had 8.5, the Packers over-under is 9.5, and then the Lions are 10.5. And I wholeheartedly disagree with all of those. I think the Lions will be more like 7.5. That's where I would put them. Yeah, they're losing their masterminds on offense and defense. All they have now is the head coach who is just bullheaded and makes stupid calls and gets bailed out by his coordinators and
goes for it on fourth down all the time.
The Packers, I think they might be the closest. 9.5 might be pretty accurate for them. They might even go over that because I think Matt LaFleur is a good coach, and I think, Jordan Love, he's no Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre, but he's not terrible.
He's a serviceable starter.
And the Bears, I really think they may have a good prognosis for the next few seasons, but I don't really know how good they're going to be with a brand new coach and a quarterback that never really got a good chance last year. The Bears are kind of a wild card for me, but I still think it's not going to be like a 10-win season for them. I think I think the Vikings are winning the division. I think they're getting definitely more than 10 wins. I think it's going to be a good year for the Vikings.
So redraw the odds. What would you say?
What did I say?
We won't hold you to it, but right now on this day, what would you say? You said the Lions would be 7.5 wins.
I think the Bears will be about that too.
Okay.
So Lions and Bears both 7.5. Packers, I think 9.5 is pretty fair, and the Vikings, I'd say easily 10.5, if not 11.5.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because 11.5 is the top of the league. That's Super Bowl. That's
I'm not saying Super Bowl, but I'm saying a lot of wins.
The Eagles, the Buffaloes, the Bills, the Eagles, the Bills, the Ravens, and the Chiefs are all 11.5 wins according to this. So you're putting the Vikings up there with the 4 best teams from last season.
If J.J. McCarthy is both healthy and anywhere close to what we think he will be, with Kevin O'Connell, yes, I think the Vikings are right up there. They should make a deep playoff run. If you look, Kevin O'Connell's had, 3 seasons so far? Mm-hmm. One of them, he lost his quarterback and the wheels fell off and still didn't do terrible. I mean, what was it, 7-8 wins?
He didn't just lose his quarterback. He lost Justin Jefferson.
Yes.
Arguably one of the best players in the league. We've been saying that since we started this podcast, too. And he's, like you said, still made it work.
Yep. But in the other 2 seasons, he's had his QB1 healthy all year. Yep. And no insanely huge injuries, even though last season there were some. I mean, you had Christian Darrisaw go down, halfway through the season. And but yeah, healthy quarterback with Kevin O'Connell. He's 27 and 7. I just looked that up. Dang it.
27 and 7 as a head coach through 3 years.
That's only including the first season and then last season, because I'm throwing out the 2023 season
with his starter.
Yeah, so they were 13 and 4 in 2022, and then they were 14 and 2. Mm-hmm. So 27 and 6 with his starting quarterback healthy all year. That's not an accident. And I know 2022, some of those 13 wins were, you could say, kind of fluky, kind of lucky, but there's not a lot of luck in football. It's the ball might bounce your way, but you're still working hard. There's not too much difference between a 7-win team and a 12-win team.
I would add to what you're saying. I would say he is a better head coach now than he was in 22, and that's just a natural byproduct of being in the league for 3 years. But I remember saying in his first 2 seasons, like, clock management isn't good, and he needs to take timeouts. He needs to, be better in the last 2 minutes of each half. I remember complaining about that a lot. Like, the 2-minute drill was just tough for him, and he was not good at managing the time well. I think he was more concerned with getting the play that he had in his head out to the quarterback, and then by the time he did that, he looks at the clock and he's like, nah, crap. Yeah. Now we're, delay a game, we're backing up, or we didn't get the right, read on the offensive line and got a false start or whatever.
But that didn't seem to be, I'm sure it happened a few times in 2024 last year, but it wasn't consistent. Just like, what was it, Mike Zimmer's last year, where it was like, okay, the other team has the ball inside of 2 minutes. You can guarantee they're going to score a touchdown. Like, that was just something that consistently happened. And the clock management was consistently an issue in 2022. But like you just said, I think 2024 and now, he may not be perfect, but he's a lot better.
And the games that were lost in 24 were largely because the quarterback fell apart.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's because Kevin O'Connell was calling bad plays or reading the defense wrong. Mm-hmm. I think Sam Darnold was just flustered when he played the Lions and the Rams, and he didn't know what to do.
Oh, yeah. Well, especially in that last regular season game against the Lions, when they would have drives in the red zone, and Sam Darnold just flat out missed throws that he had been making all season long.
Yeah,
we're still both diehard Sam Darnold fans. I still am a big fan of what he did last year, aside from the 2 games. And those 2 games, both Rams games and really both Lions games, so 4 games, they make it easier to be super excited to move on to somebody else. All that to say, though, I think this Vikings team has only proven when all things are even and healthy, Kevin O'Connell wins some games. And that's what I expect this year. 12 wins at least.
Wow. You're really optimistic.
Well, and
I like it. I like it.
And if we go back to
usually the cynic.
Yeah, but last year when we did the pick'em, I'm pretty sure I picked a 12-win season.
You did.
And I got a couple wrong, and that's fine. But I was still pretty optimistic, and I'm just as optimistic right now, if not more.
So let me ask you this. This can maybe be how we kind of close things out. If the Vikings are truly that good, and we're sitting here in late December, early January, and we're like, man, yes, this is a great season. We're going to the playoffs, whatever. What will be, not the only reason, but what will be like the key behind it? Will it be the coaching? Will it be the players? Will it be sheer luck like it was in 2022 in some of those games, and the biggest comeback in NFL history, that sort of thing? Like what's going to be the X factor for the Vikings this season that gets them to that 11-12 win mark that you're really high on right now?
Yeah, so we know a few things already, without a doubt. We know Kevin O'Connell is a good coach.
Yep. We just spent a long time talking about that.
See the last 5 minutes of our podcast for that, the reasoning why I'm saying he's a good coach. We also know Brian Flores creates and coaches a really good defense that has performed very well. We've seen it in purple everywhere else he's been, and everything, through a couple of days of training camp is saying that's still the case. The defense should still be good, especially with the free agents they've added and the pieces they've added. And don't even get me started. Apparently, Dallas Turner is looking pretty good too. And
I've heard that too, yeah.
So we know those two things for sure. Kevin O'Connell's good. The defense is good. My linchpin on this season, what will prove to me if this will be a good season or a bad season, is where will J.J. McCarthy take this team? We all expect him to be at least good. I think there was a take that you've had independently, and I definitely heard straight from front of the show, Dustin Baker, I believe on the infamous unrecorded segment that I did with him. He pounded the table saying J.J. McCarthy doesn't have to be MVP.
Yeah.
He just has to be okay.
Yep.
Just good. Just don't throw 5 interceptions. You throw 1 or 2 touchdowns a game and you're not the reason they lose, then this team is good enough outside of J.J. McCarthy to carry a few wins. So, yeah, my linchpin, my hinge point is J.J. McCarthy. This team will go where he wants to take them.
I want to dig deeper into that though. I want to know, because I think this is a really interesting point in time in Vikings fanhood, because we watched Kevin O'Connell work his magic with these no-name quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Dobbs played really well for 4 quarters over the span of 2 games, not knowing anything. He was literally meeting his teammates on the sideline at that first game, and then made some magical plays. Jaron Hall, he was okay. Nick Mullins,
he actually wasn't that good.
He was actually
he needed a lot of work, but
I still think Kevin O'Connell got the most out of that guy. And Nick Mullins, we watched it in 23 with all the quarterback issues that the Vikings had. We watched it last year, and I remember watching it 2 seasons ago in 2022.
He started a couple of games.
The guy will come in and play pretty well, and then he's kind of the gunslinger, and he gets himself into trouble. But last year when Darnold would come out for a play or two, Nick Mullins would go out and just throw a dime and get a first down, and it was awesome. And then Darnold would come back in and just keep doing what he was doing. So my question is, you say J.J. McCarthy is the linchpin, and it will all depend on him. Does that still fall on Kevin O'Connell to get the most out of him, or is it purely on J.J. McCarthy, his kind of redshirt rookie year, with that amount of experience? I think a redshirt rookie is probably the best way to describe him. Is it solely on J.J.'s shoulders, and whatever happens, the Vikings will rise and fall on him, this 22, 23, 24-year-old kid,
I
however
think he's
old
like
he is?
22, yeah.
Or is it on the coach who's piping the plays into his headset and, helping him navigate all the ups and downs of an NFL game?
Yeah. So I to answer quick, and then I'll give some explanation. I think it is the coach. Everything we've heard about J.J. McCarthy is he's going to put in the work. He's going to be the sponge. He's going to do everything he needs to do. He's going to be coachable. He's been coached by a really elite head coach in Harbaugh before, and I don't know his history before that. So, yeah, we know he's going to – that's another one of the things we know is that he's going to try his best, and he's a true pro. But I think it does boil down to – you can be a sponge, but you still need to soak up the good stuff. And I think Kevin O'Connell is going to give him the good coaching, the good direction, the good schemes, the good plays, and then call the plays based off of how he knows JJ is going to perform well. Maybe Kevin O'Connell's favorite play doesn't work with JJ McCarthy, so Kevin O'Connell needs to be a good enough coach to know, okay, we need to switch it up. I think, it is going to be Kevin O'Connell captaining the ship and J.J. McCarthy being a puppet and doing Kevin O'Connell's bidding. I do kind of think, I think Josh Dobbs, he kind of got a raw deal.
Oh, yeah, I
with
don't
the
disagree
Vikings.
with that at all.
I think when they traded for Josh Dobbs, if Kwesi and the owners had sat down with Kevin O'Connell and said, hey, we're doing it. We've traded for him. We're going to sign him. We're going all in, right after Kirk Cousins just got injured. We're going to base the next decade of Vikings football, and the first step is to go all in on Josh Dobbs. He is QB1 forever. I think had that been the case, which would have been insane, his career would have hinged on it. Kevin O'Connell's career would have hinged on it. I think he would have stopped at nothing to make Josh Dobbs the best quarterback possible. He would have been slower to bench him after a couple bad games. In that theoretical crazy scenario, Dobbs would have been with the team, a whole offseason after that, and on the team, QB1 the next year. Kevin O'Connell would have gotten Josh Dobbs right. He has all the physical abilities. He's definitely smart enough to figure all this out. I think Kevin O'Connell could have eventually turned Josh Dobbs into a respectable QB1. But that's unfortunately, they were still in we got to save the season mode.
Oh, that was a lifesaver. That was a we got to try to, like you're saying, try to save the season.
Yeah, so, but in the nature of save the season, it was, Josh Dobbs just had a couple rough games. We got to save it because we're not out of the playoffs yet and jobs are on the line. We're going to make the switch. And that's when I think they made the switch to, Jaron Hall.
It was Jaron Hall for a game or two.
Yeah.
And then he got benched for Nick Mullins.
Because even at that time, Jaron Hall was a rookie quarterback. There was still that idea of Dobbs probably isn't going to be here long. We know what we have in him, so let's see what we have in Jaron Hall. Maybe we can turn him into QB1. And then it was quickly oh yeah, never mind. But the season's still in reach, and we know we have a Nick Mullins, so let's give him the rights. That was the snip, snap scenario of it. But I really think had Kevin O'Connell been sat down and said, hey, it's Josh Dobbs, and either you make him a quarterback or you're fired, he would have figured it out.
And so again, kind of coming back to what I said a few minutes ago, I think this is a really interesting moment in time, one that we might go back to. Hopefully we come back to with that was it was going into the 25-26 season that optimism was high about JJ McCarthy, and that we were right. He is the guy, and we're gonna, we're the next dynasty team. I don't know.
That'd be cool.
I'm not gonna sit here and say that we're the next Chiefs or we're the next Patriots or whatever. But this is super interesting because Kevin O'Connell comes into the Vikings in 22 with Kirk Cousins as his quarterback, and we know enough about Kirk Cousins through his Netflix documentaries to know he's the consummate team player. He's going to, be very kind, respectful. He's going to work hard, and he's going to try his best to work well with everybody around him. But at the end of the day, he's also a businessman. And I can guarantee you, behind closed doors, Kevin O'Connell and Kirk Cousins butted heads over playbook things.
Maybe.
And I can almost guarantee it because I've seen how leadership in other aspects work behind closed doors, and I think Kirk Cousins put on a really good front in the media, and he played really well, and Kirk can back up his play. But I bet there were some tough conversations with Kirk and Kevin O'Connell, and I think Kevin O'Connell maybe had to take a back seat sometimes to Kirk and say, okay, if that's what you see when you're playing, and then okay, we'll call it this way and not my way, kind of thing. And then I think when Sam Darnold got there, that was maybe a little different because Sam Darnold wasn't this established quarterback, and he had been struggling pretty much his entire career in the NFL. And so I think for Kevin O'Connell, it was kind of like, all right, fresh slate, like, I know what I'm talking about. You've struggled mightily in your career. You've had some flashy moments, but right? I think it was night and day working with Kirk versus working with Sam. And now he not only has a 22-year-old kid, 23-year-old kid, however old J.J. McCarthy is, but he's got a guy that he sought after, that he drafted, that he, made the phone call to on draft night, that now he's worked with for over a full calendar year, sitting in film sessions, sitting in practice, piping plays into his ear, all that good stuff. How old is he?
22.
I don't know. To me, this is just like, it's one of those moments where, like, I think we'll look back on the 25-26 season, and it could be like that, like, quintessential Vikings season. The stars have finally aligned, and I don't know. Maybe we're being too optimistic.
I have a little disagreement, a little bit. I don't know that there would have been outright arguments or butting heads between Cousins and O'Connell.
I'm not saying Kirk Cousins was, grabbing O'Connell by the shirt like he did Mike Zimmer. I'm not saying that happened, but I could see, like, a meeting like this, and Kirk would just, like, respectfully disagree and say, well, if you call that play into the headset and I walk out and see something different, I'm calling an audible, whether you call that play or not. Like, I could see, maybe it wasn't exactly like that, but I could see something like that happening where, like, Kirk's experience, I think Kirk and Kevin O'Connell are, like, basically the same age.
They're very similar, yeah.
I mean, Kirk may be a year or two younger than Kevin O'Connell, but it's not like they're, like, drastically different in age. I could see Kirk kind of throwing his clout around, like, I'm a more experienced NFL quarterback than you are. I've been under center more in NFL games than you have. I know what I see. I know how to navigate those things. Kirk is a good game manager. That's one of the highlights of his play. He's a good game manager. He's not he's not the speedster. He's not the, like, deep arm threat. He's a good quarterback with a good arm. He's pretty accurate. He makes pretty good decisions most of the time, and he manages the game well. He's very aware of play clock, game clock, timeouts, all that stuff.
KOC is like 4.5 years older than Kirk.
Okay.
But still, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, like,
they might have played in
college. It's not Bill Belichick
together.
And Tom Brady, who are 40 years apart from each other. But yeah,
right.
But yeah, I think I get what you're saying in that, like, coaching a 4-year-old Kirk Cousins who's established, shown success, knows a thing or two, could probably coach himself, like coach other people as well, is probably a way different experience than coaching a Sam Darnold, who is not as established, or definitely
or a 22-year-old,
a J.J. McCarthy, who you would assume is going to take everything Kevin O'Connell says as gold,
yes, sir,
and not even think to say, well, no, I don't know about that. He's going to say, yeah, show me how to do it. I'm assuming. I don't know how their coach-player relationship works. Maybe there is some conversation, but I do feel like, you're coaching a 12-year veteran in the NFL, he might every once in a while be like, hey, I know what you're saying, but this is what I'm seeing, so here's why I disagree. And as a coach, that might be a little difficult sometimes.
And I'm not trying to put too much on that relationship. I'm not trying to say that, like, Kevin and Kirk were, like, the divorced couple that bickered at every little thing.
You know what this kind of reminds me of? This came up in our brew hop, not on tape or anything, but there was a couple of occasions where I was driving, and me as a driver on a road trip, for the most part, I'm going to follow that GPS, that blue line. And that GPS to me is basically the coach in the equation. And in that equation as a driver, I'm just kind of the quarterback doing what the blue line tells me to do. At one point, I followed the blue line, and respectfully, it was kind of joking, but you were like, oh no, I would have turned there. And I know the blue line says that, and I know what it's doing, but I definitely would have turned there because I know mine would have been better. And then once we got to the converging point, you were like, yeah, see that turn right there? That's where we would have come out, and we would have been 5 miles ahead of where we are right now.
That's exactly what I said. And I
so
said
you would have been the Kirk Cousins and like, I'm going to turn here, whereas the blue line coach would have been like, no, keep going straight.
That's a good comparison. But yeah, I definitely knew better than the GPS.
We'll never know.
Yes. No, I do know.
We'll never know.
I know for certain. And I can also tell you that instead of being on these boring 4-lane highways, we would have taken this really nice scenic little bypass. You would have seen a monastery. There's a monastery over there that we didn't see.
I've seen a monastery.
Trappist caskets where they make the monks make the caskets. We would have seen that too.
I think
we missed it all.
You are showing that you are the son of a funeral home director, and I don't know. It's coming out a little bit. That's fine.
Anyways, Kirk Cousins and Kevin O'Connell were not a bitter married couple. Yeah. They also weren't me backseat driving when the GPS said to go one way, and I think we should have gone the other way, even though I was right.
Well, and the main reason I think I don't think I'm fully disagreeing with you, but I'm kind of pushing back on that sentiment that there might have been some pushback between their coach-player relationship.
Oh, I'm totally speculating. Yeah, I don't know for sure.
But everything we heard was that Kevin O'Connell was almost pounding the table to re-sign Kirk Cousins rather than let Cousins walk in free agency.
And I could see that too, for the sake of consistency, for the sake of like, okay, maybe after 2 seasons they did develop some chemistry. But I also think like when Kirk sustained his injury and then he wasn't really around the team, and we saw him crawling into the ocean in Mexico and riding a little scooter in Florida or wherever he was, like he wasn't around the team. And that at that point, like we could go back and listen to episodes, and I was pounding the table saying like, oh, Kirk Cousins, we're going to see him on the sideline next week because that's just the type of teammate he is. And then we never did. And that was actually...
we saw him eventually, but it was
eventually,
late.
But I was just super disappointed. Like, that's not the kind of guy I thought he was. And I think that proves he's the businessman. And like, well, okay, I got hurt. I'm still getting paid, so I'm going to take my family on vacation, even if that means I have to crawl into the Gulf of Mexico. Or I guess it's the Gulf of America now. I don't know if that's where he was. He might have been at the ocean. It doesn't matter. Anyways, but yeah, I mean that was, actions speak louder than words. Like he could have very well been on the sideline the next week after sustaining his injury at Lambeau Field, and he wasn't.
Who we saw every game on the sideline?
JJ McCarthy.
Yeah. I think there might have been a couple early ones, away games that he didn't travel to. I don't know if he traveled to the London game, but we definitely saw him on the sideline with the headset in and there.
And but again, there's a big difference between a 34-year-old quarterback who's established and who's a solid businessman and a 22-year-old kid who's just coming into the league. And I'm not saying JJ McCarthy's not good at that stuff either, and he might become a really good businessman and might manipulate some good contracts that are both team friendly and player friendly. Yeah. Who knows?
And a part of Cousins too, he was, at least initially, rehabbing and getting surgery on a very significant injury, whereas JJ's was significant enough to keep him out for the season, but he was walking around. He wasn't on crutches and stuff. So there is at least early on for Kirk, there is that aspect to it. But eventually, like he could have been. I think he was at the last couple of games, but he could have been on the sideline helping out. I'm sure he was in meetings, maybe, I don't know, but
yeah, and I think he was at the facility a lot, and you don't see that kind of stuff day to day, week to week, unless it's documented in some sort of like Netflix series or something.
Weird.
Right, weird. But like even then, we didn't see that. Like we didn't see his rehab process really. Like even in the first Netflix series, like we saw him we saw kind of how he dealt with it at home, and we saw some of
they
the,
showed a teeny bit in the first episode of the second season, but yeah.
Anyways, it is what it is now. It's water under the bridge. You know, I still think really highly of Kirk.
Yeah,
I think differently of him now than I did 2 or 3 years ago. But it's not in any bad way. It's just
different. Yeah,
he's more of a businessman than a team guy, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's not like he's anti-team, but he's also not anti what's good for me and my family and my situation.
We should all be.
We should respect
my family first.
Yes, we should respect that for sure. Something else that's respectable is this beer right here.
I'm almost done with my second one here.
Yeah, me too. It's a sedimenty beer. The second one was no different than the first when I poured it. I remembered to give it a little swirl and dump it in, and then I did see the sediment kind of like tumble around in the glass once I poured it in, which was kind of fun to watch. But really smooth, really easy to drink. This actually reminds me of a beer that we had on the Brew Hop.
Oh, yeah?
What beer do you think I'm thinking of?
I got nothing.
It was at the last brewery we went to, and it was the last beer we had. We all got the same one.
The corn cream ale? Yeah.
It reminds me of that, for sure.
I could see that.
It's not like... It doesn't like scream sweet corn to me. This one doesn't. That one did. Like I definitely got some sweet corn vibes out of that. Like smooth, buttery sweet corn. It was good. But this has a sweetness to it that's really good, really enjoyable.
Kind of subtle, but yeah, it's not like a super like you're drinking a piece of cake or something.
No.
But yeah, there is a little hint of sweetness. I will say, I feel like on the show and a lot recently, we have had a lot of beers that are very, regardless of color and hop and type of beer, we've had a lot of beers recently that are very light and like thin. I don't know, like
it's summertime, so we want that. We want something refreshing.
They kind of drink like a Pilsner, even if they're an IPA. Very very light. This one, while not being thick, is definitely, and maybe it's the thin cream part of it.
It's not thin.
It's it feels like a belly filler a little bit.
But yeah.
And I mean that in a good way. Like it's delicious. It's good. There is that hint of sweetness, and I like the creaminess to it. But it also, like, I feel like I'm drinking. I feel like I'm drinking a beer.
Yeah.
Rather than throwing back 10 or 12 Coors Lights. You know what I mean? Like
Mick Ultra.
Yeah. This is I feel like I shouldn't say it's a heavier beer than a Coors Light, but it is. It drinks like a heavier craft beer than, a light Pilsner would.
But it still has that like light, sweet flavor to it. So
very good, and I will have this again. This is right in my wheelhouse too. A little bit of haziness, 6.5%, which give me those all day, responsibly. 32 IBUs, so not super bitter or anything like that. Yeah, this latter cream ale, I'm definitely having this again. This was super good.
Yeah, good stuff. Good conversation too. Like I felt like even though there's not a lot to talk about, there's still a lot to talk about. Yeah, and that's why we keep doing this podcast.
Yeah, we're only going to get more things to talk about as the season gets closer and closer and finally here.
Yep, we're ramping up, and before you know it, it's going to be here. And we're going to be talking about actual games. Yeah. I'm going to the preseason game.
Oh, yeah, that'll be super
a couple
cool.
Of weeks. So I'm super pumped about that.
Some pictures or even like a video of the crowd or something like that.
I'll take some content, pictures, videos, all that
make
stuff.
Make it a family trip. Don't make it a content trip. But
yes,
if the opportunity presents itself.
We'll slip in a little content here and there.
Do your kids have jerseys?
No, but they have shirts. So they'll wear shirts. The band shirts, the T-Public shirts got pulled down because they say Skol Vikes on them. So they'll wear those.
Okay. I was going to say,
I think one of them has a Jefferson T-shirt jersey.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen one of your kids wearing that. I also have, we've got a couple jerseys that if you're interested, we could lend on over if you need or want. But not that you need to wear a jersey in the stadium.
I'm wearing mine. I'm wearing my Adam Thielen.
Oh, Jefferson, the Adam Thielen one.
The Adam Thielen one that you gave me.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll wear that.
Nice. All right. Well, I've had a lot of fun. This episode has spanned a lot of miles in a few different locations, and a lot of great topics.
Yeah.
You could say best episode yet.
Could be.
Skol.
Skol. We've spent too much time together in the last couple of days.
No, we've spent a lot of great time together.
It's been awesome. All right. That was great.
That was one of the best ones ever.
That might have to make it into the post credits. My hand is still stinging a little bit. It's still throbbing. In a good way, though.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel so alive.